The Myford podcast, episode 51. The sunk cost trap, why we stick with bad decisions and how to break free. Hi there, welcome back to Myford University. I'm George Sloan. This is the Myford University podcast. Today we're tackling a mental trap that silently derails smart people every single day. It keeps people stuck in bad jobs, draining relationships, failing businesses, and useless degrees. It's called the sunk cost trap. And if you've ever said, I can't quit now, I've already put so much into this, you've been caught in it. So let's fix that. Want to take a break for a second? Ask you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a like and a share. Please don't keep us a secret. And we're going to talk about the sunk cost trap today. A lot of folks, you probably have dealt with this and you're probably not even aware that you have. So we're going to go and first define it. What is the sunk cost trap? Effectively, a sunk cost is anything you've already spent, be it time, money, energy, that you cannot get back. The trap is letting past investment influence your future decisions, even when continuing does not make sense. Look at it this way. Effectively, we're talking about throwing good money and time and effort after bad. Just because you've already put a lot, sometimes I'm not big into quitters, but sometimes it pays to say, you know what, this isn't going to work the way I want. And I think this is true for a lot of people today when it comes to traditional higher education. They start it and then suddenly they're like, you know what, I've gone this far, let me just keep. No, don't just keep going. Pivot, make an adjustment, accept that you did something, and instead of doing more of the wrong thing, start looking to pivot to the right thing. I mean, let me give it to you, straight. It really comes down to just having the courage to say we need to do something different. Rational decisions should only consider future costs and benefits. But most of us, we let the past effort, the time, the money, hijack the future outcomes. Listen, we'll say things like, I've already invested too much. I can't walk away from this now. If I quit, it's all wasted. Those thoughts, well, they're not strategy. They're emotion talking. Look, you've got to be intellectually honest with this. You have to be objective. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it. Is it really, really worth throwing even more time and effort into it to get a substandard or mediocre outcome? Would you be better served by taking that time, that money, that effort, and putting it into something different at this point? This gets into the idea of cutting your losses. Cut your losses and move on. Chalk it up to a learning experience and take a different direction here. Let me give you an example. Whether it be college or an MBA, let's talk about education. This channel, the Myford University channel, is all about this. Look, you're halfway through college or maybe an MBA and you realize that the program doesn't fit your goals anymore, or you see that you're not getting enough out of it, right? Maybe you found another path, or maybe you should find another path. Maybe the job you want doesn't even need this degree, but you stay. Why? Oh, because you've already spent $40,000 in 2 years or more in this. Here's the truth. That money is gone. That time is gone. The only question is now, is this still the best use of your time and money moving forward? If not, you're in the sunk cost trap. I know it can be painful. I know, hey, it's shorter to go forward than it is to go back, but you're still going to put more time, effort, and money into this. Many people figure out after the first semester of college that it's not a good idea. Are you going to keep going for another 3.5 years and spend all that time and that money, even though college doesn't seem quite right to you, doesn't seem to work? There are better alternatives. And sometimes you need to have the courage to say, hey, this isn't working out. This isn't what I expected. I don't feel like I'm getting a fair exchange for my value that I'm putting out. I'm putting time and money into this, and I'm just not getting what I should be getting. You have to have that honest conversation. Are you scared that you're going to disappoint, family and friends by saying, hey, this isn't working the way I want and I need to make a change? Don't get caught in the opportunity cost of throwing away more time and money. Don't get caught in the sunk cost trap. Here's another example. Let's talk about a business. You've got a failing project. Picture it this way. Your company has spent 6 months and $300,000 building a new product, but the market doesn't care. Sales are flat. Feedback is bad. So instead of cutting your losses, the team decides to throw more time into it, more ads, more updates, more meetings. Why? Because we've already invested so much. Well, if it's not working and you don't have a turnaround plan, but you're going to just double down and do more of the same, then you're going to invest that much more and be that much more disappointed. Sometimes it pays to cut your losses. Unless you can tweak it and turn it around, it might be best to just say, you know what? We took a misstep here. Let's do the key learning of this and move forward. It's not an investment anymore. It's now a black hole that you're just throwing good money after bad, good time after bad. The smart move isn't to recover your loss. It's to stop the bleeding and redirect the resources to something that actually works. You've dug yourself a hole, but the ladder is right there. Climb out. Stop digging. Stop digging. If it cannot be fixed, if you can't make an easy pivot on it, stop. Do something else. Look, it's human nature, and a lot of people fall into this. I've had it happen to me. But you have to at some point say, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. And my time and effort and my money is better served someplace else. Let's talk about why, we fall into this. So what's the reason? Why? What happens? Well, I'm going to give you 3 possible reasons. 1, loss aversion. We hate the idea of wasting time and money. So does that make it right to waste even more time and money? Think about that one for a second. But that loss has already happened. Think of it from this perspective. Holding on doesn't recover it, and you're going to double down and make it even worse. Second reason, maybe it's ego. We don't want to admit that we made a bad call. We're afraid of how it looks to others and ourselves. There's no shame in saying we took a wrong step here. Let's course correct and do something different. For those of you who are sports fans, is it a good idea to dwell on the last play that didn't work out? Or is it time to think about the next play and do something a little bit different? Let's talk about football for a second. You've been doing a couple running plays. They're not working. Well, maybe it's time to go to the air, or vice versa. Okay, I'll give you a third reason. Escalation of commitment. The more we invest, the harder it gets to pull out. So that, we dig deeper, and even when the data says to stop. It's emotional, it's irrational, and it's very, very common. Sometimes you have to have the courage, the intellectual honesty, the objectivity to say, you know what? Let's not keep chasing the wrong path. We're trying to go up the wrong tree here. Make a new decision. Here's the right way to decide this. How do you go about making the right call? Start with this simple question. Are you ready? Knowing what I know now, would I start this again the same way today? That is a powerful question. I'm going to say it again. Knowing what I know now, would I start this again today? If the answer is no, it's time to reassess. Let's walk through some practical tools that may help you out when it comes to doing this reassessment. Okay? So here are some tools to help you escape the sunk cost trap. Tool number 1, use first principles thinking. Sound familiar? We have a whole article and a whole video on first principles thinking. Refer back to it. Strip away the history, forget what you've already spent, and start from scratch. Ask, what is the real goal? And what is the best way to reach it now? Listen, you could go down a path and you could come to a dead end. But you could have, and you can still now, veer off and go a slightly different approach. Think of yourself in a maze for a second. There is a path through, and some paths end in a dead end. Be prepared to recognize that and make adjustments as necessary. Tool number 2, the OODA loop. It's another one, Myford University. You will find articles on this. You will find a video on it. Highly recommend you refer back to it. The OODA loop is a military tool. It's also great for business and life. We talked about it. What is the OODA loop? OODA is an acronym for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. You will observe your current situation honestly. You will orient to the new data and options. You will decide based on forward value, and you will act with confidence. And you repeat it as needed. Very fast cycles, very clean thinking. Iterate, pivot, make adjustments. Things change, and sometimes your decisions need to change. And this is a situation where you need to think in terms of, how do I adjust? How do I reorient? Where do I go? Tool number 3, stop loss rules. Maybe what you do is you set up some goals, milestones, and certain expectations. And if they're not met, you have contingency plans to do something different. Let me give you some examples. You want to set your limits ahead of time. If we don't see traction by X date, we pivot. If we still feel drained by this in 30 days, I walk away. Take emotion out of the future decision and have some contingency plans. Be prepared to say, you know what? Maybe we're ahead of our time and we're too early on this and it's just not going to work right now. Let's shelve it, put it on the back burner for the time being. Maybe it's, hey, we totally missed it. Or, hey, the market has changed so dramatically that what was a good idea a year or so ago is not a good idea for a year from now. And we need to make adjustments now. The future is going to become today. And you need to sometimes make adjustments. Okay. Again, I'm not a big fan of quitting. Sometimes quitting is the right answer. Sometimes making adjustments is the right answer. But let's talk about the idea of when not to quit. Let's be clear, not every challenge is a sunk cost trap. Think about that for a second. Sometimes the right move is to keep going. What did Churchill say? When you find yourself in hell, keep on going. Here's some ideas. You should stick with it when you're seeing incremental improvements. Maybe you just haven't got it quite right, and a little tweak here or there could make the difference. You're seeing incremental improvements. Maybe you're on the right path, you're just not using the right vehicle. You might want to stick with it when you see that the execution might be flawed, but the idea is sound. Again, maybe you just haven't got it quite right, and just a little more will get it up over the hump. You might want to consider not quitting when the market is responding. It's just slower than you expected. Look, you're going to probably have early adopters, but that's a very small percentage. Early adopters tend to fall in the 2 to 7% range. An early adopter is someone who sees something and starts using it way before the crowd does. And maybe it's taking a little longer, but the market may eventually catch up. Remember, I said before, you might be ahead of the curve. You might want to consider not quitting when you've objectively reevaluated and you still believe in the outcome. Sometimes it just takes a little bit more. The idea of boiling water, you got to turn it up just a little bit more, put a little more heat into it, and it boils. There's a certain point. It's almost like a flash point. Sometimes persistence is a virtue, but not when it becomes blindness. And this is where you need to be objective and intellectually honest with yourself. You need to sit there and say, am I seeing what I want to see, or am I seeing the facts? And is it time to do something new, or is it time to make an adjustment, or is it time to just, keep pushing? I'll give you one more real life approach. Let me help bring this home for you. Say you're a young professional and you're midway through a traditional MBA. At this point, you're already $60,000 in debt. You got 1 year down and you got 1 year to go. But something just feels off. The content is outdated. The professors have never built businesses. And maybe you've already landed a great job and learning more on the job than you would in a classroom. Maybe you already learned everything you need to know and continuing on doesn't make any sense. So you haven't completely thrown things away. You discovered that you got what you needed and there isn't much more to get. At least not justifying another $60,000 and another year of your life. Maybe this individual can do some kind of an alternative plan, like the one I've been building over on my other channel, the sub-channel of this, the MBA Accelerator, where an 8-hour MBA alternative program can be done over the course of a weekend or a day if you really want to press. Everything that's needed, frameworks, tools, strategies, all in one weekend. What if she were to drop out, this individual, and her peers told her that she's throwing everything away, but quite frankly, you can sometimes make an adjustment. There are plenty of people who don't finish programs, and there's a number of reasons why they don't. The hardest reason is to make a decision that it just isn't working for you anymore and there's a better way. Highly recommend, by the way, you check out the MBA Accelerator program. And as I say, I'm in the final phases of finishing this thing up and we'll be advertising and promoting it sooner than later, because my belief is that you can get everything you need from an MBA program over the course of about 8 to 12 hours, and I recommend doing it over a weekend. You don't want, when it comes to sunk costs, you don't want to keep throwing good money after bad. And sometimes the best decision is to discontinue the current path and make blaze a new trail or take a different approach. Think about it in terms of optimizing. All right, coming into the home stretch here. Listen, don't let yesterday own your tomorrow. Don't let it dictate what tomorrow looks like. The sunk cost trap is real, but you don't have to stay in it. You want to ask yourself, is this decision about the future or am I just trying to justify the past? Think about that one for a second. It's powerful. Am I making a decision about the future, or am I just trying to justify the past? You're on the wrong path. Time to make a new decision. Listen, smart people don't stay stuck. They course correct. They cut their losses. They move forward with clarity, not with guilt. Your past investment doesn't deserve another drop of your future potential. You don't owe your future to your former self. You owe it to your best self. And sometimes that means admitting that a previous decision wasn't quite optimal, and now we're going to do something that adjusts and fix that. All right. If this hit home with you, I would hope that you would share it with someone who might be stuck in a sunk cost trap themselves right now. And if you're, ready to rethink your career, your education, or your business decisions from a clean slate, check out my other videos and other tools on Myford University channel or the website, and the sub-channel, the MBA Accelerator, which is very focused on the MBA-oriented aspects of this alone. We are looking for you to subscribe, to join us, to think a little bit differently, to consider traditional higher education alternatives. There are many of them, because we're not here to help you finish the wrong thing. We want to help you do the right thing, and you want to do it faster. Our motto around here is learn it fast and apply it faster. Please give us, again, the like and a share, subscribe. Don't keep us a secret. Let other people know about us. We're going to see you the next time. I'm George Sloan. I want to thank you. And again, this is the Myford University podcast. See you next time.